Before this ending, Attack on Titan was on course to be one of the greatest manga ever made. I wholeheartedly believed that. Yes, the final arc was somewhat rough, and it looked like it would have a very rocky landing. Series never really do stick the landings when it comes to endings. But I never thought it could be so bad that it rivals Game of Thrones for one of the biggest fall from grace ever. It is honestly mind-blowing how bad and how everything that could go wrong with this ending did go wrong. I think the best way to describe this is really just to list out every problem I can think of while making this video. This isn't going to be in any order. I'm just going to try to think of this pile of crap and list whatever comes off from the top of my head. Spoilers, and I mean every spoiler known to man when it comes to this ending. Like if you haven't completed the manga, leave or you will be spoiled. Let's begin with the pregnancy and everything to do with Historia. All of it felt entirely pointless. There was so much foreshadowing about this plotline, it's so disappointing that it was a waste of time. All signs pointed to Historia's child being an extremely important plot point. The conversation between Eren and Historia clearly showed that there was another reason besides delaying Zeke's execution as to why she should get pregnant. The conversation between these two ends without us knowing what she was about to say, leading us to believe that this would somehow play a part in Eren's plan, like the child being the rebirth of Ymir. What do we get instead? Absolutely nothing. The pregnancy has no payoff at all. Historia, in my opinion, the best developed female character in the entire series, is wasted completely. She is essentially written out of the final part of the story. Her entire purpose is to make a baby, and what's even worse is, the father of her child was someone who threw rocks at her. What is Isayama trying to say here? If you harass a female, she might let you have sex with them and carry your child? Get the fuck out of here. That is literally disgusting. It's so sexist. How could they do this to Historia? Her entire character feels wasted and so disappointing. Speaking of sexism, let's get into Ymir. Chapters 119 to 122 give us the backstory of Ymir while Zeke and Eren are in the past. Ymir is raped, tortured, physically and mentally abused by Karl Fritz to the point where she now feels like a slave, and that is who she thinks she is and she can only be. This is all done so Karl Fritz can make an Eldian empire. She stays in the past and obeyed the royal family because of this. So when Eren meets Ymir, what does he say? He says you must have been waiting for somebody who truly understands how you feel. Eren understands all of that. Eren gives a fantastic speech that hits Ymir deeply. She is so moved by his speech that she agrees to go along with Eren's plan, the rumbling. We get the insight that Ymir has been desperately hoping that someday she would meet someone who would understand her. Before chapter 139, we presumed that to be Eren. Hell, even in chapter 137, Armin says that the founder Ymir wants to be connected and we assume she is connected to Eren. But boy oh boy were we wrong about that. Enter chapter 139. It is revealed that Ymir loved Karl Fritz. What the absolute hell? What the absolute fuck is that? That is so disgusting. Once again, what is Isayama trying to say here? That physical and mental abuse is okay? That Stockholm Syndrome is the answer to our questions? I'm absolutely blown away by the sexist values presented in this chapter. Everything I just gushed about from chapters 119 to 122 is wrong. Ymir stayed in the past not because she was a slave, but because she loved Karl Fritz, the man who raped, abused, and cut off her tongue. This apparent love is what keeps Ymir in the past and made her decide to keep on making titans. I don't even know what to say. This literally goes against everything chapters 119 to 122 said. All the ideas about Ymir having been drilled into being a slave is wrong. She's instead just in love with Karl Fritz. She's a simp. Ymir didn't jump in the way of a spear not because she lost all the will to live, but because she loved the man who abused her. The answers regarding Ymir and Karl Fritz can all be summarized as Stockholm Syndrome. What the absolute fuck? Ymir getting all hyped up from Eren's speech makes no sense now that we know she was in love with Karl Fritz. Everything from chapter 122 is retconned. Why did Eren say it ends now when he claims that Ymir led him here to tell him that Mikasa was the one she was waiting for? And when Armin asks why Mikasa, Eren says only Ymir knows that one. What? This is such a terrible answer. It's a cop-out. Isayama knows that he can't even begin to explain the weird retcons he did in this Forsaken chapter, so he just says only Ymir knows to dodge it entirely. This is such bullshit. Not only does this feel half-assed, but it ruins Eren even more. In chapter 119 to 122, it feels like Eren does understand Ymir. Zeke thinks that, and most of the readers did too. Now the answer we get as to why Mikasa frees Ymir is only Ymir knows. Fuck off, that's terrible writing and everyone knows that. It's an insult to all of the readers of this series. Armin asks Eren why he continues the rumbling, and Eren answers with an "I don't know, but I had to." This response is as bad as the "only Ymir knows" line. Isayama is once again just showing the world he doesn't give a fuck about any of this because he can't give a proper answer to questions he fucking asks. I'm not sure which one I'm more upset about, this answer or the "only Ymir knows." I think I switch on how I feel about it every time I think about it, so they are both equally bad. But when I first read the chapter, I was upset about this more since I cared for Eren way more than Ymir. Why didn't Reiner die? Reiner's whole character had him wanting to be a hero, so why didn't he die? Why is he alive saying that Eren, what a man you are, and then later sniffing Historia's letter? He should have died in this fight and sacrificed his life to save humanity. That's a satisfying end to the character Reiner Braun. Why is he now just a creep? This is so disappointing. Another fantastically written character is completely destroyed. It's so sad. What the fuck was that worm thing? What happened to it? What was the point of it? Why was it even a thing in the story? Why doesn't Armin call out Eren for the rumbling, and why isn't he more mad about this? The entire point of the alliance was to stop him, so why isn't he more upset over this so-called goal that resulted in the death of millions? All Armin cares about is why did Eren have to hurt Mikasa's feelings, and why did Eren beat him up at that meeting? Why is his final line, "Thank you for becoming a fucking mass murderer, genociding so many for our sake"? It looks like Armin forgave Eren when all of Eren's decisions seemed like they were done on a whim now. What was the point in all of them turning into Titans, John, Connie, Gabby, and have them all revert back? It feels so pointless and really sours the mood, honestly. Attack on Titan has always been about the cruelty of the world, and yet here we have everyone returning to normal so Eren can be like some great value Jesus. John and Connie not dying is nice I guess, but why have them come to terms with their deaths, which was a change from John since he wanted to survive at all costs to now being okay with dying for humanity. It just feels like a wasted storyline. All of that felt like the droids versus Gungans during the Phantom Menace. And why is Attack on Titan so bad that's reminding me of that? Fuck. The worst of chapter 139 is when Eren starts crying about how he wished Mikasa would never move on from him. He, in essence, wants Mikasa to be a slave to him for the rest of her life, which contradicts what he said in the previous chapter where he wanted her to live free and move on from him. I thought the whole table talk was Eren's attempt to push Mikasa away from him. This man, Eren Yeager, the man who wants to be free so bad he becomes a fucking bird, wants Mikasa to be stuck to him forever. This contradicts everything about Eren saying he wants his friends to live happy lives. I think the worst thing about Eren liking Mikasa is Mikasa was like completely obsessed with him forever, and prior to Eren getting all these memories when he had touched Historia's hand, he could have confessed and banged Mikasa a million times over. What was one of the best main characters I had ever seen turns out to be a crying little baby who whines about things not going his ways. The execution of the reveal that Eren is the one who caused his mom to die is just so bad. It's so rushed and it's only in one panel, and it just doesn't get brought up again. It ruins all of the Eren and Carla scenes and completely destroys one of Eren's main motivations on why he wants revenge on the Titans. It just felt like it was there for shock value. We already had a reason as to why Dino went to Carla. It's just a shock value twist that damages Eren again. Eren was extremely upset over Historia being turned into Titan, but that's pointless now because he knew Titans would be gone in the end. Eren claims he did all the rumbling so Mikasa could arrive to behead him. This retcons and throws away every single piece of motivation that Eren had prior to this. Eren's basic beliefs prior to chapter 139 is to get revenge on those who caused the death of his mother, protect his loved ones and home, and to become free. As seen from the flashbacks Zeke and Eren have during the past, Eren has always been like this, pursuing freedom and whatnot. Eren decides to do the rumbling in order to protect his home Paradise. But in order to do this, he must genocide the rest of humanity. He says bury the history and civilization that created it, ending a cycle of hatred. He wants revenge on those who created and helped sustain the cycle. That's why he was so disappointed when he learned of humanity beyond the wall, and why he is so sad in chapter 131. Eren is such a cool character because of all of this. But instead, his motivations are changed. The rumbling will kill 80% of humanity when his OG goal was to wipe out all of it outside of the walls. And his new plan is to wipe out 80% of humanity and make him seem like a villain so the other 20% doesn't get mad at all the Paradisians. Eren is trying to bring the world together when he said beforehand that would never work. And if you have seen the new pages from the final volume, newsflash, none of this worked either. It just shits on Eren entirely by rewriting his character just to be doing things for Mikasa and Ymir. Eren's whole plan was to guarantee the safety of Paradise, and now all that is left up to coin flip and Paradise still ends up getting destroyed. His new beliefs contradict everything from previous chapters. One of the nice points in the story is that it seemed like Mikasa never understood Eren, but now this new Eren is the one Mikasa dreamed about. That's all I felt like ranting about. I'm sure there's stuff I left out, but I felt like I covered enough ground here. Thank you for watching. This took a lot of time and it's probably my most ambitious video. I hope it turned out well. It's kind of bittersweet thing since I loved Attack on Titan and the ending ruined it for me. I had to say a lot about it. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Take care.